snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hi guys, so I am here today to do a book review, and the book that I'm going to be talking about is book number 9, Winter's Heart in the Wheel of Time series. This is by Robert Jordan. So, this book was described to me by many people as one of the more boring books in the series. And I didn't actually find it that way. I found that I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really cool story. And there were definitely things that went on during this book, stuff that really did develop the story and moved it along and made it really interesting. So I think most of my 4.5 star rating definitely did come from the ending, which was rather epic in comparison to a lot of the other stuff. A lot of the things that happen throughout the course of the book are very vital to the story, but they are, as always with Jordan, slow burners. They start off slow and they build and build. Whereas the ending of this book was quite explosive. I wasn't expecting it to be quite as dramatic as it was, and things happened that really interested me, and I was very excited for the next book. One thing I think that we do get in terms of this book in comparison to other books in the series is that we really start to see again how the transition from teenage to adult has really changed our main characters, and they are starting to make some really great choices. They're really growing into their characters, they're really developing, they know what they need to do now, and they know how to get there. It's just a case of getting there, making the right decisions along the way, and we really see them do that. Elaine and Abienda really both grow as characters in this story. I thought they were both excellent characters, and they really have grown into their own personalities, and they've made a firm bond with each other, which is really nice to see. Elaine has definitely become a really major character now. She was quite an interesting character up until this point, and I actually very much enjoyed her personality, as I know a lot of people don't, but she has become much more enjoyable now. The status and the situation that she is now in has given her a new kind of confidence, and we really get to see that come out. We get to see her do a few more daring things, we get to see her make some big decisions that she would not have made before, and we get to see her push the boat out and really start to take in the role that she is designed to be in. So one thing with Elaine in this story, she does face a lot of different threats, she faces a lot of problems that are coming towards her city, and now I feel like she is a strong and confident woman, and in this book I really think we see her start to take her own life in her hands, and she starts to do things for herself, she starts to do things for the greater good, and she is really, I really like her character now, as you guys can probably tell. Egwene is one of my favourite characters. I think she might even be my favourite in the Wheel of Time at the moment, but she wasn't really in this volume very much. We didn't get to see very much of her, and that was something I missed because I feel like she is in a very tense situation, so I feel like we could have seen so much more of that, and I would have really enjoyed that. However, I do hope that in 10 that does happen. Even though we don't get to see very much of her, we do see a little bit, and we see that she is in control, she's very calm, she's very self-reliant, and she does seem to be taking measure of her situation very well. Matt's storyline is really picked back up in this book, which I very much enjoyed, especially in the later sections of this book. We really do see a lot more of him. I felt that he was really starting to weigh his decisions a lot better, and he was making a few plans rather than just diving into things, which is what he has done up until this point, I feel. He often hasn't planned very well, but in this one he really does start to make some plans, he makes some schemes, and he's got a game plan. He knows what he wants to do. It's just a case of being able to do that, and a lot goes wrong with this storyline to test his resolve and test whether or not he will be able to carry out the things he wants to. But I very much enjoyed seeing him as a really strong character in this story. His plot also seems to become really interesting in this one, and it's definitely left on a massive cliffhanger, so I hope we're going to see more of that in book number 10. I don't know though, because you can never tell with Jordan. There are some incidents with Matt where he encounters some really horrific, scary beasts that we haven't seen before up until this story, when things are really going wrong, and we see a few more of the scary things that the Forsaken can unleash and that the Dark One can unleash. So we see some of those horrors that he is unleashing on the world, and they come in on Matt's storyline. So really enjoyed seeing how he faced that and seeing the ways that he planned to counteract what was going on, because there's some very scary things taking place. And I also really like the fact that his lucky streak didn't extend to these beasts. That he did need to have a bit of help here and there from other people, and therefore he has made other friends. He has moved on with new companions, and I really enjoyed seeing that because he's been a bit of a loner up until this point, but now he has got a few people surrounding him whom he can trust and things like that, so I enjoyed that. Rand is quite the crazy epic hero in this volume, and it's very, very strange to see his storyline. He basically is gallivanting around and he's doing all sorts of things, he's visiting all sorts of places, and he's setting everything up for something very, very epic that happens at the end of this book. So really, really enjoyed his storyline. I like the fact that he wasn't moping around. I like the fact that he was getting up and doing things and making a kind of real big, easy to see, clear decision about what he was going to do and how he was going to fix things. I really, really enjoyed that. As always, his plans are quite slowly revealed to us, and at first we're thinking, what is he doing, jumping around from place to place? But he is a really interesting character, and his plans do come to something very, very big that takes off at the end. I felt like at times he was driven largely by emotions and that he wasn't always thinking with his head, but obviously we do forget that these main characters, even though they are now technically adults, they're still young adults. They have a long way to go, plus they're facing some really big epic dangers. I really, really enjoyed what happened in this volume between him and Min and Elaine and Avienda, because that was something that has been hinted at for a while and that I really wanted to happen, and it did, so I really, really enjoyed that. If you've read the book, I'm sure you know what I mean. Also, the implications of that thing happening, crazy. I can't wait to see where the next few books go in terms of their relationship and how everything is going to change between those four people, because something is definitely going to happen there and I can't wait to see what. Cadsuane I really enjoyed in this book. We start to see her plan. She has her own way of doing things. She's very stubborn, she's very set in her ways, and if people don't kind of come around to her way of thinking, then she is not the sort of person to help them out unless they apologise to her or they accept her terms. We also get to see the extent to which she will go in order for her plans to be carried out, because once she has committed to a plan or once she has committed to an idea, she will see it through to the end no matter what. She is really, really stubborn, not only with other people but also with herself, and she's very strong-willed, which I really enjoyed seeing, though she is a little bit psychotic as well because she is so crazily dominating to the other characters around her at all times, and that never seems to really be relinquished, which is very interesting. So a lot of the other characters who we meet sort of have to grow into their roles, but she came into the story like a firecracker. Nynaeve goes through a few important things in this book, but she definitely appears to have taken more of a backseat in the last few books. She has to deal with the ship captains and the windfinders in this book, and she also later on goes with Rand and goes through some very intense stuff towards the end of the book, and I really enjoyed seeing her section that was happening there. I really enjoyed seeing how she committed to what she was doing, and what was going on with her was literally crazy. There was some really, really graphic and intense and crazy stuff that happened at the end of this book, and she was in there and I really enjoyed that. The interesting thing with Nynaeve is that she is quite a fiery, stubborn lady as well. And during this book and the course of this book, she is given a few moments where she has to pause and consider things, and that was quite humorous to see what she was thinking about certain things going on around her. Perrin and Faile are mentioned in the first half of this book, and Faile's story has some really interesting things going on. She is in a situation that is quite different and quite unique, and we haven't seen it before. However, at the moment her storyline and Perrin's storyline are separate, and so we don't get to see a massive progression of the overall storyline for those two, but we do get to see progression on both of their storylines individually. We get to see how they are handling the separation and what they are thinking about doing in terms of how to help the other one, because neither of them know where the other one is. I did really like the kind of insight that we got from Faile about the Aiel, because I think that they are a really interesting sort of race, and I think anything we can learn about them is really, really exciting. So seeing what she thought about them when she encountered them was really interesting, and I do think that there's certainly something that's going to happen there. There's certainly some plots going on, and yeah, definitely something to watch. Within this book we get to see a little bit more of the Forsaken, which is always a really interesting thing, and we get to see a little bit of kind of all of the Forsaken who are left in this one, which was really interesting. We get to see very, very short snippets, but it really gives you a dark sense of what they are like. It gives you a dark sense of how they feel, of what they're planning, and I really enjoyed seeing them because something crazy was going to happen there, and I'm very, very intrigued as to what that is going to be and how everything is going to revolve around them and how they're going to fit themselves into the storyline, because something needs to happen to them and with them for things to go further. Overall, I would say this was a really, really great volume. I wasn't expecting it to be as exciting as it was, especially the ending of this one, which really, really blew my socks off. I really would recommend this series to you guys. As I go through it, I'm just getting more attached to the characters, more enveloped in the world. I'm getting more enjoyment out of all of it, so yeah, highly, highly enjoyed this storyline, and I gave it a 4.5 out of 5, which is a really good rating. Very excited for number 10, although I have had quite a few people tell me that Crossroads in Twilight, which is number 10, is really bad and is like the worst one, so we'll see. Hopefully I won't dislike it too much. I'm probably going to be picking up number 10 in February, because January is pretty rammed full of craziness. Hopefully February I will be able to pick up number 10 and read that one as well. I would love to hear your thoughts on this installment in particular. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all very soon in another video. Bye! Me and you gonna have a little